Week 5 in the NFL. I mean, it starts in, 24 hours. We got Thursday night football. 49ers fans, we're going to keep on reminding you, even though they're on the East Coast, doesn't mean it's a breakfast game. It's still a lunchtime game. It's a 1:05 kick, 4:05 on the East Coast. And the man who will be talking you through it, one of the best booths in the business, Charles Davis, joined by Ian Eagle. It's a fantastic booth. You see him on your TV. You hear him in your Madden game. Charles, thanks for joining us here on Damon and Ratto. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks a lot for having me, Damon and Ray. Hope you guys are doing great. And, I probably haven't said this in a while. Damon, you probably don't know this. When I was actually working for a living, you know who helped me with my job and came and sat with me, had lunch, talked me through a few things? Ray Ratto.
No.
Yes, he did.
Historically, yeah. Ray likes no one, helps no one. What do you think he chose you?
I don't know that I think he came to smoke me over a little bit more than anything. But it was really cool because I called him and, asked him if he would come and have lunch and help me learn the lay of the land because I wasn't a West Coast guy. I had to learn the West Coast, learn the way of the world. I was working at Stanford, and, that's a whole different world in and of itself. And he was a big, big help. And, Ray, I know you're sitting there, but I also know you're not the type to tell people, you know what I did one time? I helped this guy out. It's just not your way. But, yeah, you certainly did.
You owe me a beer.
Well, I paid for the beer that day, Ray. Come on.
I was about to say.
No. Now that you went through this cockamamie story, you owe me another one.
Yeah, you're right about that. I probably owe you dinner, more than dinner and the beer.
Well, as long as we're doing that, how about a sedan?
Well, we're going. There's a line.
well, what's your career worth?
My friend who we just lost not too long ago, Tony Saragusa. You remember when he was working that game? And he made the joke about the fan who won the car. Do you remember that one?
I think I do, yeah.
For real. And it turned into a kerfluffle. And I think that the network out west had to buy a car for this guy.
Good.
Well, let's see if
I think that's a precedent.
Let's see if Charles Davis can't get us in a.
That's why I'm pulling back right there. Dinner and a beer. I feel like Seinfeld now. Soup and a sandwich. That's the meal.
Wow, you're shaving the value of your own career.
No,
that's disturbing.
No.
I'm just going to say
the worth is unbelievable. My career is not a sedan. My career is soup and a sandwich.
Well, now we got to get you better age in here, Charles, because they're paying guys to do NFL games ungodly amounts. We need to get you over to Amazon at some point. Get you just set up with your own moat.
God bless them all. But listen, either the tide has to rise and help the rest of us, or can we bring back trickle-down economics? Either way, we're all looking forward to those days.
Now, since we're talking a little personal here, I got a personal question because I remember you playing at Tennessee, and I've always thought of you as like a guy who came from the SEC, and sure enough, your hometown is in Tennessee, but you went to New Paltz High School. I'm from Schenectady. How the hell did you make it to
go to high school?
It was Linton High School when I was there, and then they changed the name of it because they took Linton and Mount Pleasant and put them together and made Schenectady High School. So
did you play against Niskayuna and Boston Spa and all the rest of them?
Yes, absolutely. My cousin went to Niskayuna. All right there. Yes. So
you're that home area. One great college basketball player played in the ABA. One Luther Ticky Burton.
Oh, well, Pat Riley went to my high school, and if Pat Riley hadn't have gone to Kentucky to play basketball, everyone said that he would have been an NFL caliber prospect.
Pat Riley was one of the great athletes that people, obviously nowadays people don't know, but Pat was a tremendous athlete. My father-in-law actually played against him in basketball in college. My father-in-law played at Hardin-Simmons. I've got a great picture of my father-in-law protecting the rim against a Pat Riley drive to the basket, which is really pretty cool.
That's fantastic. What brought your family to upstate New York?
To make it a very short story, truthfully, integration. My dad was a teacher and coach in Elizabethton, Tennessee, where he met my mother, and then, I came along. And in 1967, as we remember Brown versus the Board of Education, 1954?
Yeah.
Great with all deliberate speed. The speed finally hit in 1967 in Elizabethton, Tennessee, and my dad had no job.
Wow.
So he was looking for where to go, and this is the craziest thing. It came down to Cincinnati, Ohio, or New Paltz, New York. And my dad's originally from West Virginia, and I asked him years ago, I said, okay, I got to understand this. Cincinnati, Ohio, or New Paltz, New York, why did you choose New Paltz? And he said, I was a country kid from West Virginia. All I heard was New York. And he thought everything in New York was like New York City.
Next thing you know, it's just a can of Genesee cream ale sitting on a wooden table, and you're like, what the hell are we doing?
And we're in New Paltz, New York, and I promise you guys, between 3,000 and 4,000 people when we got there in 1967. So that's a little bit different than the bright lights in New York City.
This is Tales of Upstate New York on Albany PBS Radio.
It really is. We got to let everyone know why we have
right now. Like, really?
Charles Davis is in today. Again, you got the game that the Niners are playing coming up on Sunday, and we just saw them wake up a little bit and look like certainly a defensive, nasty football team.
Oof.
But Deebo Samuel made the kind of play that everybody's talking about, and we got him coming up as a guest after you, as a matter of fact. We're going to talk to him, and it feels like the dots started connecting for the Niners a little bit this week.
I don't think there's any question about it, and look, I saw where Jimmy G, and I can't wait to talk to him this weekend because, we're lucky enough we talked with a few players before the game, right? And, you always talk to the starting quarterback. I am really eager to sit there and say, tell me about that throw you made that Deebo took to the house. Because I've seen where he has said, I threw it to where either Deebo caught it or no one. And I've watched it a few times, and I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I don't believe that. I think Deebo took away an interception is what he did.
Better to be lucky than good.
You're darn right, and made it into a Deebo play. And, look, when he hit the scene and really started to emerge, we all started playing with, the Finding Deebo type of a theme. I'm not going to sit here and act like, it was an original thought like John Nash. And everyone is trying to find a Deebo-type player. He has changed how things have gone. I'm really glad that the narrative is back out there that this kid just loves to play. Because you remember during all the contract stuff, it was, he doesn't want to carry the ball anymore, and he doesn't want to take the hits. He just wants to be a receiver. And it turns out that really wasn't the case. What makes him who he is the ability to do all those things and be as physical a player as he is, and we're all looking for that guy. Cordero Patterson had to go and become a tailback to find his bliss in the NFL. He would have been a Deebo-type player at a different package and a different build, right? That would have been him. But everyone's looking to find that guy. Tyreek Hill is kind of like that because of his build, and you could have used him more if Kansas City had wanted to. Will Miami do more of that? Jamar Chase is going in the backfield for Cincinnati, doing a lot of things, as well as running those jet sweeps and what have you. Deebo Samuel has sparked a real change in what we're doing things. And I've been asking around the league, wide receiver runs are part of offenses now. And it used to be a total change-up. It's not going to be 20 carries a game. But 3, 4, 5 carries a game from wide receivers is not uncommon no matter what game we're watching now. And I think Deebo Samuel is a big part of the reason why.
His usage, rushes per game, is about the same as it was last year.
Yeah.
And when he made the off-season remarks about not wanting to be used in quite the same way, how much of that do you actually think was simply him wanting to be paid like an elite wide receiver because that's where the contract spiked last year?
Yeah. Hey, Ray, you remember Jimmy Graham in his prime?
Oh, yeah.
You remember you and Damon both remember well when Jimmy Graham was going for the contract. I believe it was in New Orleans at the time.
Right.
And remember how they went to the arbitration table to argue that he was a wide receiver, not a tight end?
I think he lined up in the slot more than he did on the line that year, so he had a good case.
So they brought that to the table and said, no, you're playing him like a wide receiver. We're counting him as a wide receiver. He should be getting wide receiver money. I think this is an analogy, right? If you're Deebo, hey, look, you got to take these runs out of it because all it's doing is driving my value down. You aren't trying to pay me like I'm a combo guy. You need to pay me like I'm a WR1. But it didn't mean he didn't want to play combo. He just wanted to get paid like it. I think, Ray, I think you're all over it myself. I'm in your camp on that one.
Charles Davis joining us here on 95.7 The Game. As the Niners feel like they have reaffirmed what their identity is as a team, the Carolina Panthers are still searching for answers to that question. And Baker Mayfield, who they thought would help them find that answer, is not settled in and hit the ground running. the way that Matt Rule probably hoped. And Matt Rule now is, as much in a coach on the hot seat discussion as any coach in the NFL. As you start preparing for the Carolina Panthers, tell us what kind of team you think the Niners are going to run into.
Well, they should run into an extremely angry team. They should run into a desperate team. And in most situations, being desperate is not a good thing. But in sports, being desperate can be a great thing. And to me, that's where the Carolina Panthers should be, because they've blown the so-called manageable portion of their schedule. You go back and look at who they started with, who they were playing. Those were games that you said to yourself, if we're going to get off to the start we expect or want, this is the way to do it. We had Cleveland at home. They let that get away. I mean, the Giants, before we thought the Giants were 3-1, but even though they're 3-1, was that not a game that you go into thinking you have a very good chance to win? The crazy part is, they beat New Orleans, and in preseason, I know I was one of the people who thought New Orleans would be a really strong contender to the NFC South. So it's a very strange look for them right now. And this is the first time, and I've covered Baker Mayfield since he was in college, since he went to Texas Tech. I was doing a lot of college football then, before I really got into the NFL. This is the first time that the Baker Mayfield chip on his shoulder, the size of a boulder that Sisyphus has been pushing up a hill, is not working for him. The first time. Because last year when he was playing and wasn't playing well, remember, he was playing hurt. And I mean really hurt. The kid's toughness should never be questioned. But right now his play, you can question it because he hasn't been accurate. Ball hasn't gotten to the right places. His offense is loaded with good prospects, with good players. The receiving core is terrific. Christian McCaffrey is fantastic. Offensive line, they made great moves in the offseason. They are good. Tight ends, they are more than serviceable. Right now, that offense, Baker's really been the focal point of why they haven't moved the ball well, why they're last in the league in third downs. So they should be facing a team that should be landing all on the line. Because look at who they're playing. They're in the midst of San Francisco, Tampa, and the Rams. Whoa. Are you kidding me? That's who they've got in their next three. So good luck with that, and for them, the season, it starts right here or possibly ends right here come Sunday.
Now that the company allows you to talk about gambling because they're in the league and the networks are in bed with casinos everywhere, how many points in a spread is desperation actually worth?
That's a great question because, Ray, we are in that era. They still don't want us as the analysts touching that and doing much of that. I'm not of Al Michaels' stature, Brent Musburger's stature, where they can do the wink and the nod, and everybody just kind of goes, that's Brent, that's Al. I'm still wanting to keep my job. But if you're asking me how much desperation is worth, it's got to be worth a few points. It's kind of like when you talk about a team that's in a losing streak but gets the home crowd with them. That's got to be worth something. I think it has to be because you've got to take that into account.
Hey, the Niners were a little bit desperate on Monday night.
Huh?
The Niners were a little bit desperate on Monday night. They knew that they couldn't lose that one.
It's funny, isn't it? Because you guys remember last year, were they 3-5?
Yeah.
And you remember Kyle Shanahan has talked about it, and I think you guys probably identified it long before Kyle talked about it. There had to be a discussion point of, do you go ahead and play Trey Lance full time? Do you make a decision that this is not our year, and you go find out what you got in the rookie quarterback? And they found their way last year, obviously, until it went all the way to an NFC Championship game. In this situation, that's out the window because Trey's hurt, and he was supposed to be the starter anyway. Now you're just like, we think we're pretty good, and by the way, we better not waste this defense because this defense has a chance. Look how well they played the other night. Armstead was hurt, only played 30 snaps. Javon Kinlaw has not played, in recent weeks. He didn't go. Jimmy Ward wasn't on the field. Barrett hasn't gotten back yet. They are playing at an extremely high level, and they don't have everyone perking yet. I mean, if I'm the rest of the league, I'm terrified if they get those guys back, and those guys are playing at a high level as well, because obviously some guys have developed into Hufanga. Gibson is the perfect guy back there. He's the Robin to his Batman. I mean, it is working so well for them. And, of course, Nick Bosa is just not being blocked. And because he's not being blocked, that allows them to talk about how much he's being held, which they hope will get into the officials. And maybe they'll get a few more flags for Nick, but he's just been sensational.
Charles Davis on CBS. I'm going to let Ray wrap up with a final question here, but I wish just, as you and Ian get to prepare, I don't know if you can request who you get to talk to, if the team just kind of sends them up. Asked to speak to Talanoa Hufanga. This kid, dude, he is as charming and polite and well put together a young man as he is an emerging player in this league. You will be impressed, Charles.
Oh, I know. That part I already know. Ian does the requests for the players, and then, of course, the team will either say yay or nay, and then I'll find out when we get there on Saturday. So I certainly hope that he's on our list.
The 49ers right now are being billed as an elite defense and an okay offense.
Mm-hmm.
If that's how they are after Game 17, how deep can they go if they can get into the playoffs at all?
I think deeper than normal, Ray, because I really think that we have been, pick your time frame, 10, 15 years now. Remember the old days when we were little people and the dinosaurs roamed the earth and all we talked about was defense wins championships? And that turned out to be a little bit more of a myth as we got older. It got to be defense would prevent you from winning championships if you didn't have enough to get a stop or two when you needed it. That's kind of where we were. Offense is where it was happening, and you better make sure that's tuned up. I feel like this is a year that defenses can have that kind of impact again. And the 49ers are certainly that team. So I think that they can make a big run. Now, here's the issue. Will that offensive line be healthy enough down the stretch? Can they get Trent Williams back where he can be Trent Williams down the stretch? If they can do those sorts of things, running game keeps going. Because, look, I don't know what it is about the Shanahan family, but whoever ends up being the lead runner usually is pretty darn good, even if we didn't know who they were. Remember all those guys in Denver, year after year after year, is a different guy going for 1,000 yards? This year is Jeff Wilson's opportunity, and it's working quite well. I think they've got a chance to make a heck of a run. Now, Jimmy G, he's got to get past preseason, and I think this last ball game may have been the final game of preseason for him. Now he gets to go and kind of get totally informed now. I think this team's as good as what you have on the NFC side when you factor in the defense, which I think is going to continue to get better.
You're always generous with your time whenever you come on with us, Charles. Thank you so very much. And let me just say, we'll leave you alone for the rest of the year if you can slip a little lunch with Ray Ratto conversation in between downs in the game on CBS this weekend. That would be amazing.
And if I do that and somehow slip the word Niskayuna in there?
Schenectady. Keep it Schenectady. I don't want to hear about the tuna. No. Keep it Schenectady.
You want me to talk about RPI at all on the hockey team?
If you have to, you want to, absolutely. Let's go to RPI Fieldhouse to talk about, who is their great player? Joe Juno?
Yeah.
Went to RPI?
Joey Juno.
Yeah, Joey Juno was an RPI guy.
As I heard the story, Paul Correa, who went up to Maine and had a great career in the NHL, I heard RPI was on the short list. So
there you go.
Never know who's going to go rolling through there.
Shout out Southern California or RPI.
Yeah, right.
Who'd have picked?
Shout out Union College if you have to. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it as always, Charles. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. You take care of yourselves. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Upstate New York memories. Where'd you go to lunch, Ray? Do you remember?
I don't have any memory of this at all.
You're kidding.
I am not kidding. I don't believe he's lying, but I couldn't begin to tell you where we went, what we ate.
You definitely didn't eat a burrito. Wasn't a burrito.
Oh, yeah, you may rest assured.
That's, wow. But
if he had said, let's go to a Mexican restaurant, I would have said, enjoy Jiffy Lube.
Oh, dude, you're missing out.
I'm not missing out.
You are.
My job is to put stuff in my face that I want there. Your job is to do the same for you.
Right, but
I'm not judgmental about what you eat.
I am judgmental about what you eat.
I know you are.
I'm judging you right now.
Knock yourself out. It will not deter me.
Well, but I feel like I'm talking to my 3-year-old when I say, how do you know you don't like it if you've never tried it?
I'm an independent human being who gets to make his own judgments based on how much or little information I have.
So that's you're claiming sentient being.
Yes.
All right.
That's exactly it.
All right, the sentient
That's why
defense.
I fought World War I.
Okay. All right. Charles Davis may or may not have had lunch with Ray Ratto. He remembers it fondly. Ray, not at all.
There's one of two things going on here. Either he was gasbagging or it actually happened and I don't remember it.
Blackout drunk phase of the Ratto
No, not
career.
blackout drunk. Simply, it was an act of kindness that I scrubbed from my memory because it offended me so.
Right. You don't like doing anything nice for anyone. So should you do it, you try to get it out of your mind. It's like me in preseason football. I wipe the memory bank.
It's an affront to the dignity of all mankind.
Oh.